All right, I just got back from Princess Auto where I picked up this Pro Point 220 volt spot welder. Runs at 16 amps, 220 volt of spot welding power. Of course, it comes with a owner's manual, user manual, which is all about safety. As a matter of fact, there are 12 pages of safety. It's on page 13 that it talks about unpacking. Yeah, look at that. It tells you a little bit of how to assemble it, how it operates, how to create a weld, tong pressure, mechanical tests, dressing the tips, and then troubleshooting. Let's see if we can make that thing work. And this is what it looks like out of the box. The first thing I noticed about it was how heavy it is. Probably weighs 15 pounds. Whenever they sell it to you, it doesn't come with a cord end. So I put the same 6-30 that I have for my air compressor, which is good for 30 amps at 250 volts. Now my air compressor is only running on a 15 amp circuit, but it's still 220. I can always upgrade it later. So it's good to have everything overbuilt a little bit. Now then, the cord that comes with it is about 6 feet long, which is perfect if you're social distancing, but not so good if you're welding on this guy and your outlet is over there. So I went and picked up, this is 12-3 extension cord wire, and put the same ends on it, and we'll see if it works. But first we'll talk about this little guy. Now whenever you get it, it's got two sets of these tips that screw into the ends of the tongs here. I put a little dielectric grease on them just so that they don't fuse themselves to the tongs themselves. Because what this thing is basically doing is taking 220 volts of power, running it through a transformer, dropping that voltage and bumping up the amperage, and then sending it through here. And what happens is you put two pieces of metal in here, and the gap in between those pieces of metal, just a little bit of airspace, causes resistance. And this thing will then transfers that resistance into heat, and it melts the metal and fuses it together. If you're not careful, you can actually fuse these things to your workpiece or even just fuse them together. So it's a good thing that they give you spares. And I grease them up so that they don't get fused into the tong itself, and then I'd have to replace the whole tong. The third thing that I noticed after assembling this thing was how flimsy this handle is. It's only held on there by 4 little screws, and so it flops around a little bit. I might look at maybe improving that or making it fit a little bit better. Now the way this works is it's got a handle here that you pull up and it opens up the tongs, and then you clamp it down and you hold it tight, and you flick the switch that way or that way, and that starts the current flowing, and then you hold it as long as you need to and then release it. Release the switch, releases the flow of electricity, and then you should be able to unclamp your piece and move on to the next one. It's adjustable here. You can adjust the clamping force and the handle position by changing up the position of this piece along this bolt here. Now then, the tongs themselves are supposed to be lined up with each other and make a point for that electricity to flow directly through there. The way to adjust the tongs, how to line them up and stuff like that, there's 4 Allen head cap screws in the top here that hold this thing on there, and then there's 6 Allen head screws on the bottom to adjust the bottom one here. I undid the ones on the top here and tried to move the top tong, but it just wasn't having any of it. It took off this shield here. This keeps sparks from getting into the thing and perhaps shorting it out. Take that off and take these 6 out, and then I'm able to adjust the bottom one. So that's good enough for me. I as well adjusted the handle so that it closes nice and tight enough that I can get a couple pieces of steel in there without clamping too tightly. I may have to adjust that again later. The way they put this thing together, you can't get a crescent wrench on this guy, but I've got a wrench tool for changing bits and air tools like die grinders, which fits in there and fits the nut perfectly, and so I'm able to tighten it with that. Let's plug her in and give her a shot. Okay, let's try this baby out. We got her plugged in. We got 2 pieces of metal here. Clamp them together like so, and contact. Oh, you did something. Let's see what she did. Oh, look at that, hey? See there? Just a little spot weld. Let's see if we can tear it apart. No, she's stuck together pretty darn good. That's pretty awesome. Happy about that. Let's try some more. All right, let's try another one. I've got 3 layers of steel here, just a thin strip and just some scrap pieces. I've already done a few of them, and it's pretty good. I like it. I think it works quite well. There you go. Look at that. Got pretty decent penetration on it. Doesn't want to tear apart very easily. That's good. One thing that I will note is you got to make sure that both pieces, or all the pieces, are clamped together really good. Like there's one there that I did, and I didn't have it clamped very well. And you can see the back side of it where it looks like it's welded, but it's not actually stuck together. Anyway, that's one thing that I've got to make sure of when using it. But other than that, it seems to work quite well. All right, she works pretty good on nice clean metal, but what about a manky old car piece? I cleaned this up with a die grinder a little bit, but you can see it's still got some pits and stuff in it. Let's see if she'll stick together. Contact. That is a no. That is a no. Let's see if we can reposition this and get a little better activity out of it. There we go. Oh yeah. Yeah, again, you just got to make sure that they're nice and flush and there's not a gap in between them. As well, you want to space your welds out. If you get them too close together, then the electricity flows through the existing weld instead of making a new weld. Contact. Yeah, again, that time didn't work, didn't do its thing. Let's see if we can squish this together a bit more. There we go. Let's try that. That thing scares me whenever it makes the sparks, you know. Yeah, that's not working very well. Let's try something different. I tried to stick it to. You can see where it burned through. It actually burned through. That's pretty crazy. I'm gonna play with this some more. Contact. Let's see if that worked. Oh yeah, didn't burn through, but stuck it together there. Oh, that didn't hold very well. Yeah, I don't know that rusty, dirty stuff is going to work all that well with this. More testing needed. No sticky. Right, after playing around with it for a little while, it seems to work quite well, and it's tons of fun. It doesn't work that great on dirty, rusty stuff, but that's okay. I'm hoping that I can use it perhaps in this area here, whenever I put the new cowl on, and pinch weld that, as well as all along the bottom of this thing there's a pinch weld, like this guy right here, where it's just two pieces of metal that are sandwiched together and resistance spot welded all along there. On the bottom side, whenever I redo the floor, there will be a pinch weld in there as well, which flip over here, it's along this edge here. So I think it should work just fine. I'm going to play with it some more and maybe stick some stuff together. I don't know. We'll see. But thumbs up